I've been accused many times of having some sort of agenda against Chinese watch brands, because occasionally I'll say that I don't like a specific watch or even an entire watch brand that comes from China. Therefore, obviously, I hate every single one of them. Obviously, that's not true. I do think though that generally speaking, the designs aren't as exciting as watches designed by most micro brands, but there are for sure some gems out there with gorgeous designs that you should consider for your collection, especially when considering how eye-wateringly cheap these watches are. Today I'll take you through my personal favourite 10 Chinese watch brands on AliExpress, explaining to you exactly why I think they stand out from the rest, and pointing you towards my top picks from each brand. If you enjoy this video at any point and want to see more like it, then consider hitting the subscribe button. I have a video coming soon featuring my top 20 AliExpress watches for 2025. Probably the best value watches on AliExpress right now. Addiesdive. I've checked out a number of these on the channel now, and they are excellent for the cash. Almost every single Addiesdive watch comes in under $100, and what you get for the money here is honestly mind-blowing. They do participate in the homage game occasionally with some Rolex and Grand Seiko copies, but they also have some excellent original designs. The AD2030 is a fan favourite, with a gorgeous textured dial and a fit and feel that outperforms the price tag. A watch that has no right only costing $50. But it's the AD2055 that is my top pick from the brand. This features a striking green and yellow dial with awesome legibility, case finishing that genuinely competes with brands that cost 10 times more, and a lume experience that's better than most entry-level Swiss brands. Throw in the sapphire glass and Seiko automatic movement, and $60 for this watch is insanity. You'll find my top 3 picks from each brand affiliate linked below. I'll also rank them from first to third. Sugess is another Chinese watch brand known for producing affordable mechanical watches, often featuring Sea-Gull movements. They specialise in chronographs, dress watches, and tourbillons. Their Pilot Army chronograph is incorrectly named, as this is a homage to the Breitling Top Time. Still though, a really good looking chronograph for a ridiculous price, especially the teal, orange and cream version, which is sexy as hell. These feature mechanical ST1901 chronograph movements and cost less than $100, which is insane. They also have a mechanical moon phase watch with an aventurine dial and a double date window. This one looks fantastic. And as mentioned, they even make a couple of tourbillons. My favourite is the pocket watch inspired tourbillon with a genuine bronze case. You certainly won't get accused of being boring when wearing this watch, that's for sure. Heritage is one thing that's hard to find with Chinese watchmakers, because most are in their infancy with a handful of years in the industry. However, with Sea-Gull, that's not the case. I think Sea-Gull is one of the most underrated watch brands when it comes to enthusiasts, because these guys are a horological powerhouse that don't get as much credit as they deserve. They are part of a handful of affordable watch brands that do everything themselves. They create their own in-house movements, including mechanical calendars and even a tourbillon. Most only know Sea-Gull for the 1963 chronograph, but they have a selection of incredible watches. They recently released a watch called the Polaris that's drop-dead gorgeous. Also, they proudly stamp China made on the dial, which I think is a really cool feature. If you want a modern looking watch that looks $1 million, I think the best place to visit is Proxima. I think these guys have nailed both the use of shapes and colours with their watches. They offer some incredible looking dials with great textures and proportions. One of my favourites from them is for sure the PX1724 chronograph, which combines blue, orange and silver almost better than I've ever seen before. I'd also recommend checking out their divers and everyday watches, specifically the ones with textured dials. But just like a lot of the brands that we're featuring today, they can be a little bit hit and miss. Again, I'll leave my favourite 3 from the brand linked in the description below. I don't even know what to call this next watch brand because, to be honest, they don't even know what to call themselves, but they do produce some fantastic watches. Merkur produces watches under 3 different names. I'm not sure why, it's extremely confusing, but they make some great watches nonetheless. Now, the designs here are often quirky and in some cases just flat out strange, but they also have some gems that are for sure worth considering. I'm a big fan of their dress watch line that often acknowledges their Chinese heritage. Then they have some watches branded Pierre Paulin that are just as good looking. You get a range of styles here from sporty chronographs to even a jump power dress piece, most of which feature mechanical movements and offer excellent value for money. A relatively new watch brand to me, but one that has quickly become one of my favourites, Thorn. Firstly, I'm a big fan of the name. I don't know why, I just think it's a cool name. Now this brand is a bit all over the shop when it comes to their designs. You've got some vintage inspired stuff, modern Rolex copies, and everything in between. But what really stands out here is their price point. Almost everything comes in under $100, and when you look at the spec sheet, they ain't missing a beat. I'm more of a fan of their vintage inspired stuff over anything else, specifically this vintage Air King homage that copies over the original 34mm case. I think this is a sweetheart of a watch. I also think their military pieces are worth a look. Escapement Time is a brand that I have had my eye on for years now, specifically when it comes to their dress watches. I think these guys offer some really clean and classy designs. I also think it's funny that they're called Escapement Time, but their watches don't actually feature escapements, because these guys mostly use mecha quartz movements. Nonetheless, I think they're worth a look, because you can often find them for under $50, which makes these hard to beat if you're looking for a watch with a bit of sophistication. They have a Breguet inspired piece, which I think is drop dead gorgeous, but this military inspired watch with a speckled dial is for sure one of the best looking pieces they do. If I only had $50 to spend, these are for sure a place that I would visit. My first ever Chinese watch was from Cadisen. I owned this awful Royal Oak homage that admittedly had a very good looking dial, but looking back it was just way too big and clunky. But many years have since passed and I think they've really stepped up their game. The brand is offering way more original designs now, some of which are actually very tasty. I've had my eye on this white dial skin diver for some time now, and they also have some gorgeous dress watches with quite impressive dials. They do offer a range of homage watches that for me just blend into the rest a little bit, but they absolutely have a few gems amongst the catalogue that I would for sure pick up considering how little they cost. Again, you'll find my favourite 3 links below. Probably the most controversial brand on today's video, San Martin. A brand that admittedly I wasn't a big fan of myself at first, but they've turned me into a fan with their recent releases. That's because the brand has shifted their focus slightly to produce more original designs, and they're actually quite good looking. The SN0144 is one of the best watches I've checked out under $250. The finishing was almost flawless, and the attention to detail is simply impressive. They have a range of skin divers that they've absolutely nailed the colours with, and then for something fun, the SN0118 range is perfect. Again, a fantastic use of colours here. They're often slightly more expensive than other Chinese options, I'd say by around 50% or so, but I think the fit and feel of these justifies the price. And they release more watches than just about anyone else, so you get some serious choice with this brand. But if you want something just a little bit different for your collection, Baltany is always a great one to check out. These are a bit different to other Chinese brands as they almost exclusively offer vintage inspired designs. I like to think of them as the Baltic of Chinese watchmakers. You will still find some homage watches amongst their catalogue, but usually they find inspiration from vintage discontinued watches that are harder to find. They also have some cool original design pieces. I always point to the bronze bezel as one of my favourites, because the combination of bronze and steel on this watch is just so good looking, and you can also get it with a sexy red dial. They've also just released a gorgeous new GMT diver, powered by a Seiko automatic that, like all of the watches today, offers really good value for money. Baltany, in my opinion, is the best place to go if you want something made from bronze, because they have a large selection of bronze watches that are simply gorgeous for the cash. It's hard to say for sure, but I think Baltany is my favourite watch brand on AliExpress. If I missed a watch brand that you think should have featured in this video, then let me know down in the comments because I want to check them out. And I'll catch you in the next one, guys. Bye for now.